in accordance with the executive order, I'll ask Bobby to read that, and then I'll take a roll call. I do know everybody's on there, but I'll let Bobby read that first. Good night.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. With the meeting being called to order, and if there is no objections from the members and subject to Executive Order number 71 as reiterated by Executive Order number 73, the Highway Commission members have determined that it is necessary for the Highway Commission meeting to be held electronically to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the public due to the COVID-19 pandemics. Hearing no objections, we will proceed as such.
Thank you, Mr. Cook. Are there any objections from having this meeting electronically today by the Highway Commission members? When I call your name, will you please respond that you can hear me and identify yourself so we can get you into the minutes? And I'll start. Mr. Tyson.
Roger. Tyson here.
Thank you. Mr. Davis.
Davis here.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Mr. Coleman.
Coleman present.
Thank you, David. And Mr. Wilson.
Wilson present.
Thank you, Charles. I'm glad that you got over your COVID bout. Are there any objections at all from doing the meeting today electronically? I hear none. We've done roll call. The first order of business that we have will be the approval of the minutes that were mailed out to you under before this meeting that were mailed out to you. So I'll entertain a motion to accept those minutes from January the 6th.
So moved, sir. Tyson.
Thank you, Mr. Tyson.
Coleman second.
Thank you, David. Any corrections on the minutes that were mailed out? No, we're good. I'll come down to we're good. Oh.
Roger. Pardon me, but for approval.
Thank you. Thank you, Stan. Mr. Davis.
Davis, yes.
Thank you. Mr. Coleman.
Coleman, yes.
Thank you. And Mr. Wilson.
Wilson, yes.
Thank you. Anderson votes yes. Let the minutes of this meeting reflect the minutes were approved unanimously. The next area we have is any special announcements. Eddie, do you have anything special?
No, not to my knowledge.
All right. Anyone else? Any special? We will, I assume, we've got Chad Collier on here. We're going to have a report on the Hidden Valley. Is that correct, Eddie?
Yes, the Hidden Valley as well as Harper Table and St. Ronald, the intersection I discussed early on. Chad going to report on that as well.
So I'll hold that until new business. I'll circle back around and get that. So it's at this time we do our citizens communication. Anyone wishing to speak to the county, the highway commissioners, please do so at this time by clicking in and identifying yourself and your address so we can get that for the records. Melissa, are you wanting to speak this morning?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you fine if you'll give us your name and address.
Sure. Melissa Calloway, spelled with all A's, no O's, and my address is 1202 Hidden Valley Road in Brentwood. As I believe the body is aware, I represent the Hidden Valley neighborhood, and I'm here in February again to reiterate our desire to work with the county to address both the speed and safety issues in our neighborhood. We've been at this process since July, working with Commissioner Wilson and our commissioner, County Commissioner Jerry Rainey, and we appreciate their involvement. Chad Collier met with us in November and discussed possible paths forward. And we're really looking forward to engaging with Chad and the body to be proactively involved in those, in the plan that, would fit the county standards as well as reflect the community, acceptance in the neighborhood. And back in December on the 10th, Chad sent me a sketch of a possible layout of such a plan. And I responded on that day with questions about the locations of mini roundabouts, supporting signage, the possibility of bumps and lines as shown on his initial drawing, and how any mini roundabouts would work in coordination with smart speed limit signs. It appears that Chad didn't get that, because on the 22nd of January, he sent me the plan again. And I think that he was thinking that he hadn't sent it to me before. And I would like to work with Chad as a member of the work group. We have a work group of 11 individuals. And I also would like to reiterate Hidden Valley's interest in participating in any pilot program, as that was mentioned by Commissioner Wilson during our January WebEx meeting, perhaps to include mini roundabouts as well as smart speed limit signs. So I think that it's obviously clear that the county commission, or the highway commission, knows the county standards, and the engineers know engineering standards. But I think that the other leg of any successful plan would come from input from the neighborhood itself, who knows the roads very well and has a great investment in the value of our properties, individual properties within the neighborhood. So I thank you all for your efforts to date, and I reiterate our desire to be engaged in any plan that is drafted and pursued. And I reiterate the neighborhood's interest in participating in any pilot program for smart speed limit signs and for mini roundabouts, which could hopefully address the issues in our neighborhood to the benefit of not only our residents, but the many, many county people that drive through our neighborhood, and also give the Highway Commission flexibility and in terms of precedent going forward for other neighborhoods. So thank you for hearing me. And again, I, on behalf of the work group, on behalf of our residents, am ready to work with the Highway Commission and look forward to doing so. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Callaway. Anyone else wishing to speak during our citizens' communication? I see no response. We're ready to move on to our election and appointments. We have two spots that are up for renewal for beginning next month in March. So we try to do those 30 days out. And the first one is the Northwest District. Mr. Stan Tyson's term is expiring at the end of March. I'll entertain a motion, and he's agreed. He has willingly accepted serving again. Do I have a nomination for Mr. Tyson?
This is Davis. I'd nominate Mr. Tyson for another term.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Coleman, second.
Second.
Thank you. David, I heard him first. Any other nominations for the Northwest District? This is a 2-year term. It will expire in 2023 of March. I see no one else making a nomination. We'll vote first on Mr. Tyson as the nominee for this district. I'll start. Bobby, do I need to do Stan's vote too?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll begin the voting process. Mr. Tyson?
Tyson votes yes.
Thank you. Mr. Davis?
Davis, yes.
Thank you. Mr. Coleman?
Coleman, yes.
Mr. Coleman?
Coleman, yes.
Thank you. And Mr. Wilson?
Wilson, yes.
Anderson votes yes. Let the minutes reflect, Mr. Tyson, you were voted in again for another 2-year term. We appreciate your service and your commitment to the county through the Highway Commission. The next
Thank you, sir.
person, you're welcome. The next person is our Northeast District. This involves Mr. Charles Wilson. And again, it's a 2-year term running out in March of 2023. He's agreed and is willing to be nominated for another 2-year term. Do I have a nomination for that?
Coleman, so
Sure.
move.
Thank you. I heard Mr. Coleman. Do I
Tyson, second.
Mr. Tyson, I heard second on the nominations. Are there any other names to be considered for the Northeast District Highway Commission for a 2-year term? I see no one else. We'll do a roll call for the nomination of Mr. Charles Wilson to serve another 2 years, beginning with Mr. Tyson.
Tyson, yes.
Thank you. Mr. Davis. Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr.
Davis,
Davis.
yes.
Thank you, Mr. Coleman.
Coleman, yes.
Thank you, and Mr. Wilson.
Wilson, yes.
Thank you, and Anderson votes yes. Therefore, Mr. Wilson, you have been elected, nominated, and elected to serve another 2-year term. We thank you for your time and your commitment to do this through March of 2023. That completes our election and appointments. We will go on to old business. I made a comment we would hear the report under new business, but let's go ahead and hear the report that Chad and Eddie have got prepared under old business rather than new business. Okay. So Eddie, do you want to start it off, or Chad, do you want to?
It don't matter. I know last month we talked about Melissa Calloway about the Hidden Valley issues and they having, as well as the Arnold Payton Road intersection. And Chad is on board with this, and he's been talking back and forth to him and myself about a plan they could use for both of those areas, and I'll let Chad take them here.
Thank you. Chad Collier, would you please identify yourself and the organization you work with so the people that are watching this know who you are and who you work for, and then give us that report. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. My name is Chad Collier. I am the president of Collier Engineering. Been working with the Highway Department for many years and appreciate that and enjoyed my time on this board and helping you guys. So first I want to start off by apologizing to Ms. Calloway. We had some email. We changed the email service here in the office, and I found her email from back in December stuck in my outbox, so I resent it in January because I had no response from her, and I still doesn't have any response. So Ms. Calloway, you and I need to talk on the phone a little bit and make sure I'm getting stuff back from you, because I've got several emails before, but I hadn't had anything since back in October.
Okay, I'll be happy to resend the email. I mean, stuff like that happens to me all the time, but I apologize for whatever reason you didn't get it, but I'll be happy to resend it. Thank you.
I did send her, and I sent Mr. Hood a plan of a small traffic circle of what we think will help with the speed problems they're having there in Hidden Valley. Whatever we do is going to have to create some kind of resistance there along Hidden Valley, because they do have a speed problem, and I think I reported that before. So these small traffic circles won't be a lot of cost. They're about a 10 to 12 foot around small island that we'll put out in the middle of these intersections, and then sign it well, and people will have to slow down and go around them. It will have no effect on any EMS traffic. They won't have any issues getting around them. This will just create a little bit of resistance in those intersections and make people slow down and go around them, and then move on.
Chad, let me interrupt you. We've got somebody with their microphone on. I'm getting a little feedback. Would all of you check your mic? Can you mute? There you go. Thank you.
Okay. So the other thing that was discussed was the electronic speed signs. And and I've spoken with Mr. Hood and Mr. Wilson, and that's something that to date the highway department has not funded the use of anybody's speed signs like that. So that's really up to you guys and up to the highway department. I do think that they would have a positive effect on the speeding on Hidden Valley. We would need at least 2 of them, or whoever ends up paying for them. We will need 2 of them, and I do believe 2 of those traffic circles, those mini circles at 2 of the intersections would be a big help, and that would probably alleviate most of their problems.
Explain that a little bit more in depth, Chad, about the signage you're talking about.
Well, the signage is a electronic sign that has a solar panel on top and a battery. And what it does is it has a small radar unit that will shoot oncoming cars, and it will display their speed if they're going over the speed limit. And it will alert any driver to the actual speeds they're traveling. A lot of them, we see them a lot on construction sites. Those are the temporary versions. It's much like a speed trailer that I think the sheriff's department has a couple of. It's a very similar interaction. It will shoot the speed of the oncoming traffic and just alert them if they're going over 30 miles an hour or whatever you set it at. So those are good to give people feedback, because I think a lot of the people on Hidden Valley, because I've driven it several times myself, I think a lot of the speeding out there, people just don't realize it. They don't realize how fast they're going. Cars at this day and time, and especially when you have a long straight stretch on a downgrade like that, people tend to go faster than they realize. Whether they're on the phone or paying attention to their kids in the backseat or whatever they're doing, they don't realize they're going as fast as they are. But people are traveling, 10, 15, 20, some as much as 25 miles an hour over the speed limit. And I think alerting to that fact will help slow them down.
So let's let the Highway Commission members ask you questions on this particular one before you go to the other one. Are you finished with your Hidden Valley report?
Yes, sir.
So are there questions? And Jerry Rainey, if you're still, I see you're on here. If you have a question, I'll also let you interject a question here. Any questions from the Highway Board members, or Eddie, what are the next steps?
Well, like Chad said, we have none of these in our county, and it would be kind of a pilot program. We could try to, implement those on these 2 intersections Chad referred to, try them out and see what it does, come back later on and let us do another study on it, see if that did help reduce the speed of the traffic flow through this Hidden Valley Drive. I don't have no issue with that. I know we talked about they were going a little bit fast through there. And I think about this digital radar type signs, we can try the circles first, come back and say 6 months or so, and revisit, look at it again, do another traffic study. And if we still got a little speed going on, then we'll look at the radar signs. That's just my opinion of how we need to do this, but I'm comfortable with it. I think something needs to be done, and I think it'd be a good fix. And it would, like Ms. Callaway stated earlier, it would kind of be a pilot program, because we don't have none of these in the county, none of our roads, subdivision either.
Thank you, Mr. Hood. Are there questions from the Highway Commission members?
Chairman, this is
I'd just like to make a comment that I concur with Eddie's process of working out this to mitigate the speed. I think it's a good idea, Eddie, to try one, and if that doesn't work, go on to the other. Chad, I want to thank you for all your hard efforts on this. It's been hard to try to come up with solutions that make everybody happy, and it's not going to make everybody happy, but at least if we can get the speed mitigated, I think there'll be benefit from it, and this will solve their problems. It's just going to take time to see what works.
Mr. Chairman.
Come on in, David.
Just one comment to Chad, and they may already do this, but there are a few of those down here in Spring Hill and Thompson Station. They seem to work fairly well, the radar signs. The only thing I would request, and they may already do this, is a lot of these, they tell you what your speed is, but it would be helpful if on the bottom of the post, you would post what the current speed limit is. So when that flashes up at 49 and you look down and say, oh, the speed is 40, you get that immediate say, okay, I'm 9 miles over the speed limit. You know, that makes sense, but just to post it on the bottom of the sign.
Other questions, comments?
Mr. Chairman, this is Jerry, if it's my turn.
It is. Go ahead, Jerry.
Thank you for, I think this morning's reopened the conversation with everybody, Hidden Valley, and I'm happy to be a part of this too. I just hope we can have some conversation about which makes more sense. Do we try the roundabouts first, or do we try the speed signs? And I like what David just said about the notification, but I feel like this morning we've kind of reopened the communication, and we will solve this fairly soon. Thanks to Eddie, thanks to Chad, thanks to everybody for getting back in this conversation.
Thank you.
That's all I have to say. I just want to be part of it.
Thank you, Mr. Rainey.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
Davis,
Mr. Davis, go ahead.
as they said, this is something new, the electronic signs. Would the county maintain these signs?
Yes, absolutely. That's who, you certainly don't want a homeowners association doing it in the county. It's our property, and we should be responsible for that.
Okay, I thought maybe whoever installed them might maintain them. I didn't know how that would work.
Yeah, well, it kind of falls back to who the ownership of it is, and I certainly would not be in favor of a homeowners association being in charge of that. Let's let the highway department do that, since it is a trial that we're attempting to go with here, and we need to control all the information and the piece. And it's like traffic lights; we need to be responsible for those, or we do a contract with somebody else, but we're ultimately responsible.
Okay, sounds good.
So Eddie, to kind of move us off center here, I know, Chad, by your earlier conversation, you and Ms. Callaway have not communicated back and forth. I don't want to be accused of shoving something down a homeowner's throat or the community's throat without them at least having an opportunity to hear what we're planning on doing. And I also realize that you'll have 50% say that's a great idea and 50% say that's not a great idea. 50% will want to have the electronic sign, 50% will say they don't want to have the electronic sign. But I do think we need to have some input, or at least you and Ms. Callaway get together again and maybe make an attempt. Eddie or Jerry Rainey or the highway, Mr. Wilson could go out to their association, and that's just part of the duties we have here. Now, I'm also open, and if you all are ready to go forward with putting I guess they're called a roundabout. Is that what they're called, Chad?
Yeah, it's a mini roundabout, but yes.
A mini roundabout. I'm prepared for that too. But I do think it's good for us to always listen to the neighbors and the homeowners association and hear their input, rather than them saying, well, what are they doing? We didn't want this. Ms. Callaway is speaking for herself and not for the organization. I'm sorry, Ms. Callaway, in my many years of earning these gray hairs, we've heard every comment that you possibly can. That's not a reflection of you. It's just the experience has taught me to let the community speak too.
Yes. May I just respond to that? I completely understand that based on your experience, but I am very careful never to speak just from my opinion. You know, as I said, we have a work group of 11 that was everybody who wanted to participate was welcome. And we did a survey of the neighborhood, and we attained over 90% participation in the survey. and two measures were favored by over 80% of the residents, and those were the smart speed limit signs. And I have some examples of those where it's a small white vertical sign that says the speed limit, and then it says below digitally your speed. And the cost of two of those is less than the cost of striping the entire Hidden Valley. And the other mitigation measure that received over 80% support from the neighborhood were three-way stop intersections at three-way stop intersections, but because of engineering standards, those aren't possible. So what we're recommending is putting mini roundabouts in those same intersections in place of the three-way stop signs. And what I'm hoping to get, because I want to be sensitive to your issues of hearing 5 people say, what the heck are you doing? And 5 other people saying, gee, this is great, is getting a sense of the plan and how the roundabouts would work in coordination with the stop signs, what they would look like, where they would be placed, and then take it to the neighborhood. But there's so much variation in terms of placement and look and supporting signage and everything that I didn't want to get the cart before the horse and share something with the neighborhood as a whole until I had a fairly firm sense of this is what the proposal would be. So I completely understand your desire to have hear from the neighborhood, and it's always been my goal since day one for the neighborhood to speak with an informed voice and a coordinated voice. And I agree, we're not going to make everybody 100% happy, but hopefully we're going to have an effective plan that's affordable and reduces the speed that people live with happily. So I would be more than happy to represent the neighborhood, and you can talk to I'll bring as many people as you would like to that meeting to make sure that you are confident that it's just not me speaking.
Thank you. So if the highway board doesn't mind, let's let Eddie run point. Wait a minute here. I've got something in the chat. Let me read this before this is, what do we got here? Yes. So Chad, Joe Horn has sent me a little memo. Because that community is on septic, when we are developing those road implementations, that we not get too deep back into people's septic field lines. We certainly don't want to be buying someone a new septic field line. So would you keep that in mind? Thanks, Joe. I appreciate you bringing that up. As all of us knows, when we're doing our septic lines, a lot of times are in the back of our houses, but a few homes do have them in the front side, and we certainly don't want to encroach upon that. So let's do this, if the Highway Commission is in favor of it, this being February the 3rd. For you that know, this is Mr. Mike Weber's birthday. I think he's past 29 this time. We will let Eddie, if you don't mind, run point on this and see if you can't get a meeting set up out there. Maybe you don't have a clubhouse, do you, Miss Calloway?
No, but I have our house is the original farmhouse for the neighborhood, the Valley, and we have pretty good outdoor space. And Jerry is familiar with it. We have an outdoor fire pit, so weather permitting, we have a safe place to meet outdoors. Chad was there, and did it work for you, Chad, in terms of a meeting venue?
It was great.
Okay.
Appreciate you hosting.
Thank you, Miss Calloway. I'll take that as an invitation to reach out to you, and you're willing to provide the fire logs during 20-degree weather for them to have a meeting. Let's hope not. And if not, we could use the highway office. It's warmer. It's harder for people to come to oftentimes, or even the school, or even over in Hunterwood. You might make a phone call where they have a meeting, a clubhouse over in Hunterwood, which is not that far away. and Jerry represents them too. So let's let you all get together, let the plans be shared. Let's have this conversation, keeping in mind what we're doing. If we can get all this done, you're not going to get a lot done and during the month of February anyway because of the cold weather. So it's a great time to have meetings and sign-offs and agreements. And then if you can get it back to us in March, we'll go forth. And if not, we'll look at it in April and try to find a solution to these problems that we're having, and at least attempt some of these mitigation areas that we're looking at. Is that okay with everyone else?
Sounds good to me.
Yes.
All right. So that's
Yeah,
the
yeah, I'm good with it.
Thank you. Well, that's the direction we're going to go in. And Ms. Calloway, we'll let you and Chad get together and Eddie and kind of work out those details. Okay.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Okay. Chad, thank you for being engaged in that. Ms. Calloway, thank you for being persistent and bringing this to our attention, and to our county commission, Jerry Rainey and Mr. Wilson. Thanks for finding solutions to things. That's what we're all about, a lot of it. Moving on to new business, we have nothing listed this morning. So I'll start with the Highway Commission district reports, and I'll start.
Hey, Roger,
Yes.
Chad got to talk about that intersection as well.
Oh, yeah, I done forgot about that. Go ahead and talk to us about the intersection too, Chad. Sorry.
No, it's all right. We went down and took a look at the Paytonville Arno Cool Springs Road intersection just south of 840 down in Mr. Colton's area. Eddie asked us to take a look at it here a few weeks ago, and we went and pulled traffic, which there was quite a bit of, especially during peak times, and ran some warrants. And this intersection actually will warrant a four-way stop. And that was one of the things that Mr. Hood said that, maybe a good solution for this area, just because there's all the traffic is fairly consistent coming from all four directions. So we went and ran the four-way stop warrant, and it did meet that. I provided Eddie a couple of days ago with a signage and striping plan for that area. I think he may have sent that on to Mr. Coleman, and just looking for comment from those guys from that. And if they like it, then we can go on to toward implementation. Shouldn't be very expensive. Again, it's just striping and signage. Talked about a little concrete islands, but Eddie informed me that there used to be one there that got removed just due to the traffic through there. So we were going to just do a channelized island instead from Paytonville Arno, turning right back north on Paytonville Trinity back toward 840. So it's really just a striping project with a few signs. So it's not a very expensive or very long-term project.
Thank you, Mr. Collier. Eddie?
Yes, there's been a few accidents at this particular intersection, and I had the commission that way, Judy Herbert, as well as the Jay Bonsall, which is with the rescue squad. We did look at that, like Chad said, it warrants a four-way stop at all four corners of this intersection. I'm good with that, and we will replace put stop signs on the Harper, Payton, and Payton Arno. We back up the road and put them rumble strips down before we get to it on all four corners of this project. And we would also put stop ahead signs up on Payton Arno going west and Harper Payton going east, because they're not used to stopping. But before any of that would take place, we have some message boards here. We would put those out, and about 2 weeks in advance, like you do a red light, and just let them, people get the idea what's going to happen, kind of alert them. And we would go and replace the signs. We would just bag those, and then I think that's the way to solve this. And I'm comfortable with this. I did send this to Mr. Coleman, and he can make remarks as well about this particular intersection.
Mr. Chairman, I'm fine. Eddie and I talked about it, looked at the proposals, and just like our last item, I would, and they may have already done this, but I would like for them to communicate to the rescue squad representative, what our plan is, just so they're kind of on board with things also.
Thank you, David. So Eddie, is your recommendation we take these remarks and comments from Chad to implement them at that intersection. Is that what I hear you saying?
Yes, sir.
Do I have a motion to accept that? Mr. Coleman, that's in your area. I'll let you speak up first.
Coleman, approve.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Tyson, second.
Thank you very much. Gentlemen, you all ready to vote? We're voting on the improvements at the four-way intersection that Chad and Mr. Eddie have said that needs to be replaced. Any questions? Mr. Tyson, how do you vote?
Tyson votes aye.
Thank you. Mr. Davis?
Davis, aye.
Thank you. Mr. Coleman?
Coleman, yes.
Thank you. And Mr. Wilson?
Wilson, yes.
Thank you. Anderson votes yes. Let the minutes reflect it passed 5-0. Anything else, Chad? You're finished?
No, sir, that's it. Just good to see everybody.
Good to see you and hear you. Under new business, I show nothing. And I'm looking, that's okay. Nothing's changed there. Highway Commission District reports. We'll start with Mr. Tyson. And again, for you that got on late, Stan Tyson's son-in-law, Fred Bennett, passed away yesterday. And Stan, we certainly our condolences go out to you. I know he meant a lot to you and your daughter, Terry. He was a fine, outstanding man. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments, Rogers. I have one request to make for the next meeting. On our major thoroughfare plan that we okayed some years ago now, I'd like to know where we stand on that and how we are within our estimated budget on that.
Mr. Hood, I'll let you answer that.
Yes, we can get that. We can cover that for next month.
Okay, thank you, sir. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Tyson. Mr. Davis, comments, your district?
All is well, not this way.
All right, Mr. Coleman?
Yes, sir. I think things are going well. I had a call about Arno, but I think in front of Page, but all that's being handled.
They're working hard. Thank you, David. And Mr. Wilson?
We've got a guardrail issue we need to address somewhere in the future, and I need with Eddie and Chad to look at it. There's been several wrecks, and people, it's just when people crowd around the curve, they push into the guardrail. But anyway, it's just something we need to look at down the road and see if we can address it and see if there's a solution.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Before I go to Mr. Hood for his report, Charles, it's great to hear your voice. I know you struggled with this COVID issue, and glad to hear you're back on the mend, and just take care of yourself. Mr. Hood, your report?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, I just want to thank Mr. Tyson and Mr. West for running for 2 more years. I think we have a very good road board here, Highway Commission. I just appreciate all 4 of them and what they do, and you as well, sir. But no, we have been busy. We just because we didn't get a lot of rainfall so far this year because these ditches and all these leaves creates a problem with the way the water flows and don't flow. So we've been cleaning out a lot of ditches and letting mine repaired, working out there in the Grassland area, the Grassland School for that roundabout that's going to go in that area, and just been a lot of them. Been rather busy so far this fall, but we're doing pretty good up here, and just I just want to thank everybody for their support to the highway department. It means a lot.
Thank you, Eddie. You and your crew do an outstanding job of keeping our 700+ mile roads going in our unincorporated area. And on my report, I have nothing to report except I will share. I just got a email in earlier this morning that for you to remember Dennis Anglin's wife. She passed away yesterday. I'm sorry I'm having to bring all the bad news, but I know many of you know Dennis and the struggles that his wife has had. So I will share that with you. Other than that, everything else from a standpoint of the county government, we are in the middle of vaccinations. We did about 700 vaccines on Monday. I do not have a count for yesterday yet. We have reduced our number of, if you're interested in getting a shot, there's a website and a call number. You can get on the list. We're still focusing. We had about 3,000 people that had signed up over the age of 75 and older that we're working and whittling down on. We're getting more supplies in this week. We've been promised more vaccines, so hopefully we'll get these shots in people's arms, and then we'll move our numbers on down to 70. There is a way for a 70-year-old to go on to our website and request a shot, and just as soon as we can get to them, we will. We feel like we can get to them into the 70 range in the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and then hopefully drop that age limit down into the 60s into the early parts of March. Many of you have asked, or many people have asked, well, how come some counties are and some aren't? It depends on the number of 75-year-olds you have in your community and the number of vaccines you can get your hands on. We have not thrown away one vial of the vaccine, whether it's either been the Pfizer or the Moderna vaccine. When we get to the end of the day and someone does not show up, or we have to make some corrections, then we have a call list. We get on the phone, and so that we can get at least one person in there to get those shots at the last minute. That has been very fruitful for us to be able to do it this way. Our county has a very large number of 75-year-olds and beyond in our community. And so just as soon as we finish with the 75-year-old and plus, we will move that number on down. I'm encouraged every
Rogers?
day.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I've got a comment to make on. We
Mr.
had our
Tyson?
shots over here at the hearth. I think it was last Thursday, and it was well organized. The CBS did the program. They had about 7 or 8 stations that were doing the vaccinating. It went very, very smoothly, and as far as I know, there were only a couple of people across the board that had a problem with it, and it was not serious. But it could, as far as I'm concerned, it could not have been organized any better. So you might compliment them somewhere along your travels.
I'll certainly do that. You know, in this world we live in today, it's all about communication, and it's certainly taken a lot of our time and energies. While you were talking, many of you, we get a report every day, every night. This report comes in. If I can get it on my screen here, I won't try to show it to you, but I'll read you. This morning at the hospital, we had 18 individuals in the COVID unit, which is one of the smaller numbers that we've had over the last several weeks and months. We actually had we were down to 18 in the COVID wing, and we were down to only one person that was with the ventilator. We've had as high as 60, and we've had as high as 24 plus on the ventilator. So for whatever reason, we're thankful that the vaccine and people's awareness seems to be curtailing a little bit. We have had, I am pulling that up right now. In our county right now, we have approximately 1,330 active cases. That's the lowest that number's been in the last 30 to 35 days. On December the 17th, we had 1,600. So we finally got back down under the 1,500 number. And currently we had 3 new deaths over the last 2 or 3 days. These are related to COVID. And our death count, we're number, we've had a total of 175 total deaths related to COVID. since this pandemic started. That's the unfortunate part. Our numbers are coming down, our active cases, the testing is not as robust as it was in past, but our death count continues to go up, which is the experts in that area tell me that when you have a lot of testing going on or active cases being diagnosed, it's just a matter of time that many of those turn into deaths. That's an unfortunate part about it. But we're aggressively still working it. And I would encourage everyone to please continue washing your hands and wearing those masks and doing that social distancing to minimize this. That's everything.
Are our schools open?
They are, Stan. They are limited. We've never really, there's been individual schools, like last week, it was Independence. And then as soon as they go in and do a deep clean on that particular room and then do the isolation of that classroom, they try to get the school back up. It's a mixed bag. Some parents, kind of like the conversation we were having with the subdivision. Some parents want them to go to school, others don't. It's a mixed bag all over. I guess though, if you've got 2 or 3 children and one's going to school, one's not, one's staying at home, I do know that there are many moms and dads out there that will not be applying for teaching certificate after they've been trying to train their children at home. That's just part of the processes. But our schools are open. We've never completely shut them down. Once we got them open back in September, we have closed individual schools. We have 49 schools in our county that Jason Golden, they're juggling around the clock.
Thank you, sir.
You bet. Bobby, any legal issues we need to know about?
No, sir, not at this time.
You know, we overlook Bobby a lot of times. He keeps us a term we could use in the highway department that everyone knows. He keeps us out of the ditches, and we don't say thank you to him a lot for the hard work he does. And Bobby, we do appreciate you. Anything else for the good of the cause this morning? I did check with the 4th floor upstairs. You okay, William, Floyd, Joe, everything else okay? You're gonna have to, I'll have to do a better job acknowledging you guys. Anything else? And if not, we'll see you next month. I'm looking for a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved, sir.
So be it. See y'all next month.
Have a good one.